Okay, so good day everyone, and for today's topic would be about database principles, in which we will tackle what are the basics and common jargons about database. What is the difference between traditional database and computerized database systems? So first things first is we're gonna head on to the objectives. So the objectives or the student learning outcomes will serve as your guide on what are the specific topics that you need to comprehend or to understand at the end of this chapter. So first is to differentiate what is the difference between data and information. So obviously, there is a huge difference between those two. Which one is processed and which one is not, or which is the raw file. Next is what is database? What are the various type of databases and why they are valuable asset for decision making? So dito natin itatackle what are the things that we considered under traditional databases and what are the systems or softwares that we considered under computerized database systems, and what are the varying characteristics of each different database category. Next would be the main component of the database system, and the last part would be main functions of a DBMS. So, dito class, in this particular topic or lesson, we're going to assess or differentiate ano ba yung sinasabi nating software na may database at ano yung software na walang database. And ano yung importance of having or knowing what databases in particular. Okay, so first is why database. Imagine class, trying to operate a business without knowing who your customers are, what products you are selling, and who is working for you, who owes you money, and to whom you owe money. So this is the first situation that we're going to assess. So how much can this business process have data? So gaano kaya kadaming data meron yon? If you're going to try to categorize each of the data, sino-sino yung customers mo, ano yung mga pinurchase nila, ilan yung natira sa inventory mo, at ilan yung kailangan mong dagdagan sa inventory mo. So those are the things that you need to consider. How much profit did you gain? Meron bang nawawalang products and so on? Well, in the older times, especially nung wala pa or di pa gano'ng ka-integrated yung computerized database systems, ang nagiging problem nun is yung pagtitrace ng inventory. But nowadays, since we have a computerized database systems, especially enterprises, huge enterprises, they have softwares that has databases in them, napakadali na nung transaction. It's easier to trace which product yung nauubos na sa inventory mo, alin yung hindi. Like for example, what are examples of scenarios na merong database yung software na ginagamit natin at paano siya ginagamit sa isang business? Just observe sa inyong local supermarket. Usually sa mga mall, sa groceryhan. Like sa Robinson's supermarket. So you might have observed class na every time that you going there, meron nai-scan siya ng mga barcode. Now, after or before ka umalis, kailangan mo munang i-check out or ipa-check out dun sa point of sale ni cashier yung mga binili mong products and items. By doing so, it does not only assess how much, or it does not only calculate how much you have spent on your grocery items, it also helps the organization or the enterprise or the institution to keep track ano yung nawala sa inventory nila, magkano kinita nila within that day. And just imagine how fast the transaction is. It just happens within a few clicks of a button, and just like magic, na i-record na yung mga items. So that's how important databases is. And we have a lot of actually systems or softwares that has their own databases. Basically, when we say database or computerized database, it refers to a repository account in which your information are being organized. Usually, a database is a software. Pero, especially if nakakonect siya sa ATM, they are located in a web server. So, there is still a difference between a server, a cloud, and a database. Again, a database is a type of programming software that manages your data or information in a particular way depending on how it is designed by a programmer or a software developer. Now, another thing is, how do you think databases can store and then quickly retrieve? The answer is through the use of a software that has a database on it. Now, database in general are specialized structures that allow computer-based systems to store, manage, and retrieve data very quickly. So, data versus information. Now, in this section, we're going to differentiate what is the difference between data and information. Now, good decisions class require good information that is derived from raw facts. These raw facts are known as data. So, pag sinabi nating raw, meaning they are in pieces of information or digital data that are or that had not been processed yet by our software or database. So, next is information naman refers to processed data to reveal its meaning. So, basically, I'll give you an example. So, the moment na may in-encode ka na isang piece of data or a basic data or information inside a software, pagka wala ka pang ginagawa, di pa siya na-alter, then that is data. Kasi raw facts pa lang siya. Pero pag siya ay na-process, paulit-ulit siyang ini-scan or yung digital information mo inside that software, then that becomes an information. Wala pa pala. Okay. Next naman is knowledge. Knowledge is it pertains class in layman's term is relevant and objective information that helps in drawing conclusion. So why do we think it's important to bakit nabanggit yung knowledge out of nowhere? What is its relation with database? So knowledge is very important. It must be imposed na we have a knowledge on a particular topic so that we could assess how it functions or operate. So, these are the key points that we must remember. So, data, sabi natin, again, data is raw facts. So, it's constitute the building blocks of information. Information is produced by processing a data. And also, information is used to reveal the meaning of the data. So, accurate, relevant, and timely information is the key to good decision making. And good decision making is the key to organizational survival in a global environment. So, now that we have discussed what is the difference between data and information, basically, data siya pagka, kunyari, in-encode pa lang natin sa isang software or system. That remains a data if wala tayo ina-alter or hindi pa siya ini-impose or ini-integrate the software as part of its system. Pero once na na-encode na natin, na-save na natin, and na-access na siya ng ibang tao, then that is now called as information kasi na-process na siya. Again, database is a type of technology, usually a software, that manages the information that the client or the user stores. So, it's very important class because databases makes transaction quick and easy. So, dahil kaya nga sabi natin, since we're living in the information age, so napakadali nang ma-store yung mga information natin. And all of us, at some point or another, our information are being stored digitally somewhere in a web server or either a database. So, example ng may mga databases, the moment that you were to apply for a bank account, whether that is an ATM, a credit card, yung mag-e-enroll ka kay CIC. So, meron tayong enrollment system, right? Yung grading, yung student portal that also has a database. So, basically, everything that you can store information has a database. So, meron tayong tinatawag class na every time na halos lahat ng website or web-based softwares like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, it has its own database. So database is a type of software or programming technology that allows us to be able to process it. So it allows us to be able to process all of the information and categorize it digitally. So that's the function or key point of database. It organizes your information, it stores, it can edit, update, delete your information. So ngayon naman, all of those information, though they are being processed by a database and they are located inside a database cannot work alone without a web server or a cloud. Now, a server class is, think of it as a flash drive. So, di ba pag may mga, ano ba na ginagawa natin sa flash drive? Si flash drive po doon natin ini-install or ini-store yung ating mga digital files. So, lahat po kasi class ng, halimbawa, nag-Facebook ka, nag-upload ka ng video, picture, lahat ng ginagamit mo na website na nag-upload ka, meron siya kinalalagyan na physical storage. So, yun po yung tinatawag natin na web server, data center, or host or server. Lahat po ng ini-install natin ay hindi napupunta kung saang ulap, sa cloud, or sa internet signal. They are being stored in a physical storage located from different parts of the world. Like for example, si Google. So kung meron tayong Google Class account or Google Workspace, lahat ng information natin na naka-install ay nakalagay, ay minamanage ni database, and then nakalagay siya sa isang malaking parang CPU na tinatawag nating server. In which I will attach 2 videos from YouTube so that you would see what a server looks like and what a database software examples are. That is raw facts of interest to the user. Number 2, we have what we call a metadata. So a metadata is also known as a data about a data, through which the end user data are integrated and managed. So next is this an example or the easiest analogy of what is the relationship or how can we differentiate data from metadata. So we have here a cat. So this particular type of cat, sabihin natin siya yung user, nag-register siya. So, siya yung cat and then ilagay niya yung kanyang mga information doon. So, siya yung data and then the description inside or the description about that file is what you call a metadata. Si database kasi syempre, hindi naman pwedeng raw data lang yung ilalagay natin, i-encode natin. Kailangan meron din siyang description or specific. But you don't have to worry much about metadata kasi si metadata is integrated part of a software. So, magta-type ka lang ng raw data if you were the end user or yung pag sinabi natin end user yung gagamit nito, and then bahala na yung software na may database na mag-add ng metadata. Like for example, nag-upload ka ng picture kay Facebook. Sabi natin, halos karamihan ng website merong mga databases inside. Kaya na ma-manage yung digital information. Nag-upload ka ng picture, ng video. Ngayon, pag nag-upload ka, minsan di ba, tinatanong ka, ano yung gusto mong pangalan doon? Kung ilalagay mo ba siya sa album or sa timeline? Kung sa album mo siya ilalagay, lalagyan mo siya ng desired na name mo. Bahala kung lalagyan mo siya ng location and any other information. So, ang gagawin ni Facebook, yung database inside the Facebook software, so mag-a-assign siya ng metadata. Kailan siya in-upload? Kailan or saan yung location, anong type ng picture yung in-upload, .jpeg. So, those are examples of metadata. Again, metadata is, it describes about the data that you have uploaded. So, unwillingly, we are not aware na yung palang ina-upload natin, yung mga tinatanong sa atin ni Facebook to input the location, is a part of a metadata. So, basically, ikaw mag-upload ng video, ng image, lalagyan mo lang ng konting description, then bahala na si Facebook kung nalalagyan niya, kailan mo in-upload, kailan yung mga ibang additional information. So, that is metadata. So, database system environment. So, si database ay may isang component. Parang parehas lang sa computer components. So, first is the hardware. So, ano yung mga ginagamit natin na devices para ma-access yung database software? Kunyari, meron tayong computer, meron tayong isang malaking machine para ma-access natin yung isang software na merong database. Next is si software. Si software, ito mismo yung program kung saan nakalagay yung database natin or database technology natin. Si people, it refers to the people using the database. Si admin, yung gumawa or nag-develop ng database software. At yung mga nagmamanage ng database software na yon. So, kaya meron tayong tinatawag na people or peopleware as a part or as a component of a database system environment. And then si procedure, it refers dun sa mga steps na ginagawa or pinapalo ng peopleware para gumana or magamit nila yung database system or database software. And then yung data, syempre, walang kwenta ang database kung walang nakalagay na data. It refers to the digital data that we install or we manipulate and use within the database system. Again, madali lang naman tandaan what are the components of a database system environment. Number 1, we have hardware. Number 2, we have a software. Number 3, peopleware or people. Number 4, procedure. And number 5 would be data. So, under na rin kay data yung metadata, information, and so on. So, kasi kaya sinabing data lang, ito yung pinaka-basic unit or component ni database. Next class is we're going to tackle about different types of datas. So we have different classifications of database according to number of users. So si database pala, may iba-iba tayong category na nakalagay sa kanya. Depende dun sa na nakabase kung gaano kadami yung gumagamit. Meron tayong tinatawag na single user database. Number 2 would be multi-user database. Number 3 is workgroup database. And number 4 is enterprise database. Basically, it already gives a hint kung ilan yung taong gumagamit. Single user, isang tao lang halos yung gumagamit or for single use lang yung database na to. Multi-user, multiple people can use the database. So, medyo malilito lang tayo sa the difference between multi-group and workgroup users ng database. And enterprise database, it refers to databases na ginagamit ng malalaking companies or corporations. Another classification of databases can be classified according to its location. It could either be called a centralized database or distributed database, which again we will tackle as we progress with the later parts of the chapter or topic.